I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand, the screen glowing in the pre-dawn darkness. 5 in the morning, and Big Mike was already texting me. "Get in early." Something's off with the contractors. I rubbed my eyes and swung my legs out of bed, feeling that familiar ache in my lower back from 23 years of climbing catwalks and turning valves at the Baytown refinery. My wife Carmen was still asleep, her dark hair spread across the pillow, and I could hear my son Tyler in his room, probably already awake and playing video games before school. The house smelled like coffee. Carmen must have set the timer last night, and I shuffled into the kitchen, poured myself a cup, and turned on the little TV we kept on the counter. The morning news was on, some blonde anchor with too much makeup talking about traffic on the Gulf Freeway. Then the banner changed. Breaking: containment irregularities at UT Austin Research Facility. I stopped mid-sip. The anchor's expression shifted, got more serious. CDC officials are investigating what they're calling a breach of protocol, involving biological samples being transferred through a University of Texas laboratory. Authorities say there's no immediate threat to the public, but residents within a 5-mile radius of the campus are being asked to shelter in place as a precaution. I felt that old feeling in my gut, the one that told me when something wasn't right on the catwalk, when a valve was about to blow or a pipe was stressed past its limit. 23 years working high-pressure systems teaches you to trust your instincts. Something about this felt wrong. Carmen came into the kitchen, tying her robe. "You're up early." "Mike wants me in, says the contractors are acting weird." She frowned, pouring herself coffee. "Weird how?" "Didn't say. But you know Mike. He don't panic for nothing." Tyler stumbled in, 12 years old and already tall as Carmen, his hair sticking up in every direction. "Dad, can you drive me to school? Mom's got that dentist thing." "Can't, buddy. Gotta get to work. Take the bus." He groaned but nodded. Good kid, smart. Wanted to be an engineer, not a pipe fitter like his old man. I was proud of that. I kissed Carmen goodbye, ruffled Tyler's hair, and headed out to my truck. The sky was that purple-grey colour it gets before sunrise, the air already thick and humid. Houston in September was like breathing through a wet blanket. I climbed into my Ford F-150, 15 years old but still running strong, and headed east toward Baytown. The radio was playing some country station, but I switched it to news. More about Austin. Now they were saying something about a manifesto, some group claiming responsibility for liberating the samples. Terrorists. My hands tightened on the wheel. I thought about Tyler, about Carmen, about all the people in this city who had no idea what might be coming. The refinery appeared on the horizon, a sprawling complex of silver towers and pipes, flames burning orange at the tops of the flare stacks. I'd spent more than half my life in that maze of metal and heat. I knew every catwalk, every valve, every danger. It was brutal work, burns, falls, toxic gas, explosions. But it paid good money, and in Houston, if you didn't have a degree, the refinery was where you went. I pulled through the security gate, showed my badge to the guard. He looked nervous, kept glancing at his phone. "Hear about Austin?" he asked. "Yeah. We got any word from corporate?" "Nothing yet, but they're doing temperature checks at the main gate." Temperature checks. That wasn't normal. I parked and walked toward the staging area. The parking lot was fuller than usual for this hour, and I could see clusters of workers standing around, talking in low voices. Big Mike was there, 6'6" and built like a tank, his hard hat pushed back on his head. He saw me and waved me over. "Darius." "Good, you're here." His voice was tight. "We got a situation. 2 contractors called in sick yesterday, Rodriguez and Webb, real sick. Puking blood, high fever, the whole 9 yards. HR sent 'em home, but now we're getting word that 3 more guys are showing symptoms." "Same crew?" "Yeah, all working Unit 9, some kind of catalyst regeneration project." I felt that gut feeling again. You think it's connected to that Austin thing? Mike's jaw clenched. Don't know, but corporate's bringing in medical, and they want everyone who worked near those guys to get checked out. A woman from the medical office set up a station near the break room. We lined up like cattle, one by one, getting our temperatures taken, answering questions about symptoms. When it was my turn, the woman, young, maybe 30, and clearly scared, barely made eye contact. Any fever, nausea, coughing? No, ma'am. She stuck a thermometer in my ear. 98.6. You're clear. I headed to Unit 12, my assignment for the day. Supposed to be routine maintenance on a distillation column, replacing some flanges that were showing stress cracks. My partner was supposed to be Jenkins, but when I got to the equipment staging area, there was a contractor I didn't recognize. Name tag said VOSS. Where's Jenkins? Voss shrugged. Called in. I'm filling in. He looked rough, pale, sweating despite the morning cool. You feeling all right? Just tired? Didn't sleep good. We geared up, harnesses, hard hats, respirators, fire-resistant coveralls, and started climbing. Unit 12 was one of the taller structures, catwalks crisscrossing at multiple levels, pipes running in every direction. We were working at the 120-foot level, right below the overhead piping. Below us, the ground crew was moving equipment, and I could hear the constant hum and hiss of the refinery in operation. We'd been working maybe 20 minutes when I heard it. A cough. Wet and wrong. I looked over at Voss. He was bent over the railing, one hand on his chest, coughing so hard his whole body shook. Hey, you all right? He didn't answer, just kept coughing. Then I saw it, black stuff coming out of his mouth. Not blood, something darker, thicker, like tar. It splattered on the metal grating. Jesus, man, you need to get to medical. He turned to look at me, and I saw his eyes. They were wrong. Bloodshot, the pupils dilated huge, and there was no recognition there, no humanity, just hunger. He came at me. I barely had time to react. He moved fast, too fast for a man who'd just been coughing up his lungs. His hands grabbed my coveralls, fingers like claws, and he pulled me toward him. His mouth was open, teeth bared, that black stuff dripping down his chin. The smell hit me, rotting meat and chemicals. I shoved him hard, using my weight to break his grip. He stumbled back, but didn't fall, didn't even seem to feel it. He came at me again, and this time I grabbed my Stilson wrench from my belt, a 2-footer, heavy steel, and swung it as hard as I could. The wrench connected with the side of his head with a sound like a watermelon splitting. He went down, hard, blood, and that black stuff pooling around him. I stood there, breathing hard, my heart hammering. Voss was on the catwalk, twitching, that black tar oozing from his mouth and the wound in his head. His fingers were still moving, scratching at the metal grating. I keyed my radio. Mike! Mike! We got a problem on Unit 12. Voss just attacked me. I don't know what the hell's wrong with him. Static. Then Mike's voice, strained and distant. Darius, stay where you are. We got multiple incidents. The contractors. Something's wrong with them. They're attacking people. What do you mean, attacking? I mean they're biting people, tearing into them. We got 3 dead already and more injured. Whatever this is, it's spreading fast. I looked down at Voss. He was still moving, trying to get up despite the massive head wound. Mike, Voss ain't staying down. I hit him hard enough to kill a man, and he's still moving. Don't let him bite you. Whatever you do, don't let him bite you. I heard screaming then, somewhere below me. I moved to the edge of the catwalk and looked down. Chaos. Workers running in every direction. 2 men fighting near Unit 9, and I could see one of them had that same wrong look, that same vacant, hungry stare. More screaming from the direction of the control building. Darius, Mike's voice crackled. Get down from there. We're evacuating. This whole place is going to hell. I started for the ladder, but Voss was up. He was on his feet, despite the wound, despite the blood. He came at me again, moving with that terrible, jerky speed. I swung the wrench again, this time aiming for his knee. The joint shattered with a crack and he went down, but he kept crawling toward me, dragging his broken leg, his hands reaching. I ran for the ladder and started climbing down as fast as I could. Halfway down, I heard an explosion. I looked toward Unit 9 and saw flames shooting up, black smoke billowing. Someone must have ruptured a line. I hit the ground and ran. The scene was like something out of a nightmare. Bodies everywhere, some not moving, some twitching and convulsing. Workers fighting each other, or running, or hiding. I saw Martinez from maintenance pinned against a tank by 3 contractors, all of them biting and tearing. His screams cut off suddenly. I ran toward the parking lot, my boots pounding on the concrete. Behind me, another explosion, bigger this time. I felt the heat wash over me, saw the fireball rising into the morning sky. The parking lot was chaos, people fighting to get to their vehicles. I saw a woman, one of the engineers, on the ground, surrounded by 4 infected workers. They were ripping her apart. I looked away and kept running. My truck was on the far side, and I had to dodge around abandoned cars and bodies to reach it. I fumbled for my keys, my hands shaking so bad I could barely get the key in the lock. Behind me, I heard that sound, the moaning, low and terrible, like nothing human. I got the door open, threw myself inside, locked it. 2 infected slammed into the window, their faces pressed against the glass, teeth gnashing, leaving bloody smears. I started the engine and floored it, running over one of them. I felt the bump as the tyres crushed bone. I drove through the gate. It was wide open, the guard shack abandoned, and onto the main road. Traffic was already backing up. People were fleeing the refinery, and ahead I could see the highway was jammed. I pulled out my phone and called Carmen. It rang 4 times before she answered. "Darius? What's wrong? I can hear sirens. Carmen, listen to me. Something bad's happening. Real bad. I need you to get Tyler from school and get out of the city. Right now." "What? Darius, what are you talking about?" "There's some kind of virus or something. People are going crazy, attacking each other. The refinery's going up in flames. You need to get Tyler and get on I-10 West. Get as far from Houston as you can." "Oh my God. Darius, where are you?" "I'm trying to get home." "But the traffic's bad." "Carmen, I need you to promise me you'll get Tyler and go. Don't wait for me." "I'm not leaving without you." "Carmen, no, we stay together. You come home and we'll leave together." I wanted to argue, but I knew it was useless. Carmen was stubborn as a mule when she made up her mind. "All right, I'm coming. But start packing. Food, water, clothes. We might not be coming back." I hung up and focused on driving. I took surface streets, trying to avoid the highways. The radio was going crazy. Every station talking about Austin, about reports of violence spreading across the state, about the CDC declaring a state of emergency. Then a new report. Houston was seeing outbreaks. Multiple incidents at hospitals, schools, office buildings. It was spreading. Fast. I passed a grocery store and saw people looting, fighting over supplies. A man was beating another man with a can of beans. I kept driving. My neighborhood was in Deer Park, a working-class suburb east of Houston. It took me an hour to get there, an hour of watching the city descend into chaos. By the time I pulled into our driveway, I could see smoke rising from multiple locations across the skyline. Carmen met me at the door, Tyler behind her. I packed bags. Food, water, first aid kit. What else do we need? Weapons. Anything we can use to defend ourselves. I went to the garage and grabbed my hunting rifle, a Remington 700, and a box of ammunition. I also took a crowbar, a hatchet, and a baseball bat. Carmen had a pistol, a .38 revolver her father had given her, and she made sure it was loaded. We loaded everything into the truck. Tyler was quiet, his eyes wide. "Dad, what's happening?" "I don't know, buddy. But we're gonna be okay. We're gonna stick together, and we're gonna get somewhere safe." We pulled out of the driveway and headed for I-10, But when we got to the on-ramp, my heart sank. The highway was a parking lot. Cars packed bumper to bumper, not moving. Some were abandoned, doors open. Others had people inside, honking their horns uselessly. "We're not getting through that," Carmen said. She was right. I pulled off and tried to think. North would take us toward the city, which was suicide. South led to the coast, dead end. East went back toward the refinery. West was blocked. "We need to find somewhere to hole up," I said. "Wait this out, see if the government gets control." "Where?" I thought about it. "The high school. Tyler's school. It's got good fences, solid buildings. If we can get there and secure it, we might be safe." We drove toward Deer Park High School. The streets were getting worse, more abandoned cars, more people running. I saw a group of them, maybe 10, all with that same wrong look, chasing a family. The family made it into a house and slammed the door, but the infected didn't stop. They pounded on the door, clawed at the windows. We reached the school. The parking lot was mostly empty. School had been cancelled, apparently. We drove around to the back, near the gym. I parked close to the door. "Stay close," I told them. "Don't make noise." We grabbed our supplies and went to the gym entrance. It was locked. I used the crowbar to pry it open, and we slipped inside. The gym was dark and empty, smelling of old sweat and floor wax. "We need to barricade the doors," I said. We pushed the gym bleachers against the main entrance and stacked equipment against the other doors. Then we climbed to the second floor, to the coach's office, where we had a view of the parking lot and the surrounding area. From up there, we could see the city dying, smoke rising from dozens of fires, helicopters flying overhead, the sound of gunfire, distant but constant, and the infected, appearing in growing numbers, wandering the streets. Carmen and Tyler huddled together while I kept watch. The sun was setting now, painting the smoke-filled sky orange and red. "How long do we stay here?" Carmen asked. "As long as it takes." But I knew we couldn't stay forever. We had maybe 3 days of food, a week of water if we rationed. After that, we'd have to scavenge. That night, I heard them, the infected, moaning in the darkness. I looked out the window and saw a horde passing by the school, maybe 50 of them, all moving in the same direction like they were being called. Tyler fell asleep eventually, exhausted from fear. Carmen stayed awake with me. "Tell me the truth," she whispered. "How bad is this?" I looked at her, at the woman I'd loved for 15 years, and I couldn't lie. "It's bad. Real bad. I don't think the government can stop this. So what do? We survive. We protect Tyler. We do whatever it takes." She nodded and leaned her head on my shoulder. We sat like that for hours, watching the city burn. The next morning, I woke to the sound of helicopters, military choppers flying low over the city. I grabbed my binoculars and watched them dropping bombs on the densest clusters of infected. Buildings collapsed in clouds of dust and fire. "They're trying to contain it," I said. But it wasn't working. For every infected they killed, 10 more appeared. We stayed in the school for 3 days. On the 3rd day, our water ran out. I knew we had to move. "There's a Walmart about 2 miles from here," I said. "If we can get there, we can stock up." "What if it's already been looted?" Carmen asked. "Then we try somewhere else." "But we have to move. We can't stay here with no water." We packed our things and headed for the truck. The parking lot was clear, but I could see infected in the distance, wandering the streets. We drove slowly, quietly. The Walmart appeared ahead, a massive building surrounded by a parking lot full of abandoned cars. I didn't see anyone moving. I parked near the entrance. "Stay in the truck. Keep the engine running. If anything happens, you drive away." "Darius, I mean it, Carmen. You protect Tyler. That's all that matters." I took the rifle and the crowbar and approached the entrance. The doors were smashed, glass everywhere. Inside it was dark. Emergency lights provided just enough glow to see. The place had been ransacked, shelves knocked over, merchandise scattered everywhere. I moved carefully, rifle raised. The food aisles were stripped clean, but I found some canned goods that had rolled under shelves. I grabbed them, stuffed them into a backpack. Then I moved to the camping section. Found water purification tablets, a first aid kit, batteries. That's when I heard it. Movement. Shuffling footsteps. I turned and saw them. 3 infected, coming down the aisle toward me. They'd been here the whole time, hiding in the darkness. I raised the rifle and fired. The shot echoed through the store, deafening. The first one dropped, skull shattered. The second and third kept coming. I fired again, missed. The rifle jammed. Shit! I dropped it and grabbed the crowbar. The nearest infected lunged at me, and I swung the crowbar into its face. Teeth shattered, bone cracked, but it kept coming. I hit it again and again until it finally dropped. The third one grabbed me from behind. Its teeth sank into my shoulder. No, not through. My jacket, thick canvas, protected me. I spun and drove the crowbar into its eye socket. It fell, twitching. I stood there, breathing hard, my shoulder aching where it had bitten. I checked, no broken skin. The jacket had saved me. I grabbed the rifle, cleared the jam, and got the hell out of there. But the gunshots had attracted more. I saw them coming from all directions, dozens of infected, drawn by the noise. I ran for the truck. Carmen saw them too and started honking the horn, trying to distract them. I threw myself into the driver's seat and floored it, tires squealing. Infected slammed into the sides of the truck, reaching for us, but we broke through and roared out of the parking lot. "Did you get supplies?" Carmen asked. I tossed her the backpack. "Some. Not enough." We drove aimlessly for hours, looking for safe places, finding none. The city was overrun, infected everywhere. And worse, we started seeing other survivors turning violent, gangs forming, taking over territories, killing anyone who came too close. We passed a barricaded street where a group of men had set up a checkpoint. They were checking cars, taking supplies, and if people resisted, they shot them. I drove past fast, not making eye contact. "Where are we going?" Tyler asked. His voice was small, scared. "I don't know, buddy, but we'll find somewhere." That night we holed up in an abandoned house. The owners were gone. I didn't want to think about what had happened to them. We barricaded the doors and windows, ate cold canned beans, and tried to rest. But around midnight I heard voices outside. Men's voices, laughing. I looked out the window and saw them. 5 men, all armed with bats and machetes, going door to door, breaking into houses. Looters. I woke Carmen quietly. We got company. Bad company. She grabbed the pistol. We waited in the darkness as the men moved down the street. They were getting closer. Then they were at our door, pounding on it. "Anyone in there? Come on out. We just want to talk." I didn't answer, kept my rifle trained on the door. "All right, have it your way." The pounding got louder. They were trying to break in. "Get Tyler into the back bedroom," I whispered to Carmen. "If they get through, you go out the window and run." She hesitated, then nodded. The front door splintered. I fired through it, heard a scream. The pounding stopped. Silence. Then gunshots. Bullets tore through the walls, punching holes in the drywall. I grabbed Tyler and Carmen and we ran for the back bedroom. We climbed out the window and dropped into the backyard. I could hear the men breaking into the front of the house. We ran through backyards, staying low, moving fast. Behind us, I heard shouting, more gunshots. But we made it to the truck. I'd parked it 2 streets over, hidden behind a fence. We drove north, out of the suburbs, into the rural areas outside Houston. The roads were clearer here, less traffic, fewer infected. But I knew it was only a matter of time before the virus spread out here too. We found a farmhouse, isolated, sitting at the end of a long dirt road. The owners were dead, I found them in the bedroom, both shot in the head. Suicide, looked like. I buried them in the backyard while Carmen and Tyler set up inside. The farm had a well, chickens, a vegetable garden. It wasn't much, but it was something. We stayed there for 2 weeks, rationing our supplies, trying to stay hidden. But the world kept getting worse. The radio told the story. Cities falling. The military pulling back. Reports of the virus mutating, spreading faster, becoming airborne. The government was losing control. And then came the announcement that changed everything. I was listening to the radio one night when a voice broke through the static. "This is Dr. Raymond Kellerman, formerly of the CDC. I'm broadcasting from a secure location. I have information about the outbreak. The virus, designated XK7, was developed at a black site facility as part of a bioweapons program. It was designed to incapacitate enemy forces, but it was never meant to be lethal. Something went wrong. The virus mutated, became more aggressive. And then it was stolen by a domestic terror group called the Red Hand. They released it simultaneously in multiple cities: Austin, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, New York. They wanted to bring down the government, and they succeeded. The virus is airborne now, spread through bodily fluids and breath. Infection rate is near 100%. Time from exposure to symptoms, 6 to 12 hours. Time from symptoms to complete transformation, 2 to 4 hours. There is no cure. But there is a treatment, something that can slow the progression, maybe even stop it in early stages. I'm working on synthesizing it, but I need help. If anyone can hear this, please respond. Coordinates are being transmitted on this frequency." I wrote down the coordinates. They were in Austin, at a research facility near the university. "We should go," Carmen said. "It's 160 miles through infected territory. It could be suicide. Or it could be our only chance." I thought about Tyler, about giving him a future. All right, we go. But we do it smart. We plan, we prepare, and we don't take unnecessary risks. We spent the next day gathering supplies, mapping a route, loading the truck. Then at dawn, we left the farm and headed west toward Austin. The drive was a nightmare. The highways were clogged with abandoned cars, forcing us onto back roads. We saw infected everywhere, wandering in groups, some alone. We avoided them when we could, drove through them when we couldn't. We passed through small towns that had been completely overrun. Bodies in the streets, buildings burned. Once we saw a mass grave outside a town, hundreds of bodies piled up and set on fire. Tyler threw up. Carmen held him while I kept driving. We were 50 miles from Austin when we hit a military checkpoint. Soldiers in hazmat suits, heavily armed, blocking the road with armored vehicles. A soldier approached, rifle raised. "Stop the vehicle. Turn around. This area is under quarantine. We're trying to get to Austin. There's a doctor there, says he has a treatment. I don't care. No one gets past this point. Turn around or we will open fire." I looked at the checkpoint, at the soldiers. There was no way through. I put the truck in reverse and backed up. The soldier watched until we were out of sight. Then I pulled off the road and drove into the woods. "What are you doing?" Carmen asked. "Finding another way around." We drove through rough terrain, following game trails and dirt roads, circling around the checkpoint. It took hours, but eventually we made it past and back onto the highway. Austin appeared on the horizon. The city was destroyed, buildings collapsed, fires burning everywhere. The skyline was unrecognizable. We followed the coordinates to an industrial park on the east side. One of the buildings had reinforced doors, military grade. I parked outside. "Stay in the truck. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, you leave." "Darius!" "I mean it. You protect Tyler." I grabbed the rifle and approached the building. There was a keypad next to the door. The radio broadcast had included a code. I punched it in. The door clicked open. Inside, the place looked like a bunker. Steel walls, generators humming, banks of computers, and at the far end, a man in a lab coat. Dr. Kellerman? He turned, startled. He was in his 50s, balding, exhausted-looking. You came. Thank God. I wasn't sure anyone would. You said you have a treatment. Yes, come, I'll show you. He led me to a lab. On the table were rows of vials filled with clear liquid. This is it. An experimental serum. It uses synthetic antibodies to slow the virus's progression. It's not a cure. Once you're fully turned, there's nothing that can be done. But if administered in the early stages, it can buy time. Maybe even stop the transformation completely. How many doses do you have? 73. That's all I've been able to synthesize with the equipment here. 73 for millions of infected. It's a start. If we can get to a proper facility, I can make more. Thousands, tens of thousands. But I need help. I need security, transportation, resources. I thought about it. There's a military base north of here, Fort Hood. If we can get there, convince them. They won't listen. I've tried. They think I'm part of the problem, that the virus was my fault. His voice cracked. I worked on the original program. I helped create this monster, and now I'm trying to fix it, but no one trusts me. I trust you. And I'll help you. But first I'm taking some of those vials. I got a wife and kid out there, and I'm not leaving them unprotected. He nodded. Take what you need. I grabbed 20 vials, carefully packing them into a padded case. We'll come back for you. But I got to get my family somewhere safe first. I ran back to the truck. Carmen saw me coming and started the engine. I climbed in and showed her the case. We got it. We got the treatment. Her eyes filled with tears. Thank God. We drove north, away from Austin, looking for somewhere to regroup. We found an old hunting cabin in the woods, isolated and defensible. We stayed there for a week, resting, planning. But the radio kept bringing bad news. The infection was spreading exponentially. Cities were being overrun faster than the military could respond. And then came the announcement we'd all been dreading. By order of the President of the United States, emergency protocols are now in effect. To prevent further spread of the XK7 virus, tactical nuclear strikes have been authorized on major metropolitan areas with infection rates exceeding 70%. Strikes will commence at 0400 hours. Affected cities include Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. All surviving residents are advised to evacuate immediately. This is not a drill. Carmen looked at me, horror in her eyes. They're bombing Houston? They don't have a choice. The infection's too widespread. But there's people there. Survivors. I know. We sat in silence, listening to the countdown. At exactly 4 in the morning, the sky to the south lit up. A brilliant flash, brighter than the sun. I grabbed the binoculars and saw it. The mushroom cloud rising into the sky, miles and miles away, but still visible. Houston was gone. My city. My home. The refinery where I'd worked for 23 years. All of it erased. Tyler started crying. Carmen held him tight. I just sat there, numb. Over the next few days, more bombs fell. Dallas, Los Angeles. The government was systematically destroying its own cities, trying to burn out the infection. But it didn't work. The virus had spread too far, too fast. And in the rural areas, where the bombs couldn't reach, it kept spreading. We tried to get to Fort Hood to deliver the serum, but the base was overrun. We tried to contact other survivors, to organize some kind of resistance, but everyone was scattered, disorganized, desperate. And then I started feeling it. The fever, the cough. I'd been exposed somewhere somehow. Maybe at the Walmart, maybe at Kellerman's lab, maybe just from the air. It didn't matter. I was infected. I didn't tell Carmen at first. Didn't want to scare her, but she noticed. You're sick. It's just a cold. Don't lie to me. I looked at her, and the truth came out. I'm infected. I don't know when, but it's in me. She grabbed one of the serum vials. Then we use the treatment. We only got 20 doses. We need to save them for Tyler, for other kids. We're using one on you. End of discussion. She injected me with the serum. For hours, nothing happened. Then the fever broke. The cough stopped. I felt normal again. It works, I said, amazed. But we'd used one of our precious doses. 19 left. We kept moving, kept trying to find other survivors, to build something. But everywhere we went, we found death. The infected ruled the land now, and the living were scattered and few. We ended up back near Houston, drawn by some irrational need to see what remained. The crater was massive, glowing faintly with residual radiation. Nothing lived there. Nothing could. We found a house on the outskirts, fortified it, tried to make a life. We had the serum. We had each other. We had hope. But hope wasn't enough. One night a gang came, led by a man named Pike, a former convict who'd taken over a chunk of the wasteland. He'd heard about the serum, wanted it for himself. They surrounded the house, 30 men, all armed. We didn't have a chance. Pike called out, "I know you got medicine in there, medicine that can save people. You're going to share it, or we're going to take it." I stepped out, rifle in hand. "This serum ain't for sale." Pike smiled, cold and cruel. "Ain't looking to buy. I'm taking it. You can give it to me peaceful, or I can kill you and take it. Your choice." Carmen and Tyler were behind me. I thought about fighting, about making a last stand, but I was one man against 30. "If I give you the serum, you let my family go?" "Sure, I'm a reasonable man. I didn't believe him, but I didn't have a choice." I handed over the case. Pike opened it, saw the vials, smiled. "Good man. Now!" He raised his gun and shot me in the chest. The impact knocked me back. I heard Carmen screaming, heard gunfire. I tried to get up, but my body wouldn't respond. Blood was pouring from the wound. Pike stepped over me, looking down. "Sorry, friend. Can't leave loose ends." He turned toward Carmen and Tyler, raised his gun, and that's when I remembered. The hatchet, tucked in my belt. I pulled it out and swung with everything I had left. The blade sank into Pike's calf. He screamed and fell. His men rushed forward, but Carmen had grabbed my rifle. She fired, dropped 2 of them. The rest scattered, taking cover. Pike was on the ground, trying to crawl away. I pulled myself over to him, grabbed his head, and smashed it against the concrete until he stopped moving. Carmen dragged me back inside. Tyler was crying, pressing his hands against my wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm so sorry." "Don't you dare die on me," Carmen said, tears streaming down her face. But I could feel it, the darkness closing in. I'd lost too much blood. "The serum," I said, "in Pike's pocket. Get it. Use it. Save others." Carmen found the case on Pike's body, brought it back. 19 vials, our legacy. I died watching the sun rise over the wasteland, holding Carmen's hand, listening to Tyler's voice telling me he loved me. And in the end, the infected won. The world fell. Humanity scattered. The cities burned. But somewhere out there, 19 vials of hope remained. Maybe someone would use them. Maybe someone would survive. Or maybe we were just delaying the inevitable. Either way, I'd done what I could, protected my family, fought the monsters, human and otherwise, and now I could rest. The last thing I saw was the refinery on the horizon, the place where it all began, still burning after all this time, a fitting end for a pipe fitter who'd spent his whole life working in fire and metal. Ain't right, I thought. Then nothing.